All right, so we're going to move into, we're going to go back to the one thing today. All right. And the reason that we're going to go back into the one thing is because yesterday we heard, if you're in the real estate industry, we heard very clearly, and that's my industry, so that's really the only industry I can talk about because I've been in it since 1997. We heard very clearly from Gary Keller yesterday that in order for us to win in this technology age, we will have to get very disciplined about our database. And I know Zach's on the call. His face is not on the call, so he may be doing something else at the same time. But Zach and I, Zach came and stood outside of my door in the office here, and we had a conversation about this. And it's interesting because Zach and I both were real estate agents, high functioning real estate agents, making a lot of money back in 2007. And then in 2008, we weren't, right? We weren't. And so we learned some really cool lessons. We were very fascinated by that time. And we learned some really cool, yes, painful lessons. And the one lesson we learned is there is absolutely nothing that is going to trump your database. Absolutely nothing. Not social media, not marketing, not friends, not your phone. There's absolutely nothing that is going to trump a disciplined database. A disciplined database. And yesterday, Gary said something that was very true. He said, when he saw the how good the economy has been, he's like 80%, at least 80% of the realtors in today's market have only been in a market that is rising, that has had plenty of inventory, that has had buyer demand, pent up, built-in buyer demand and listings. And here's the lesson that I would not be doing my job. And you guys hear me preach about this all the time. And I hear people say, oh, Becky, you're old school. You know, we got the internet now. There's all kinds of things. But guys, I'm going to tell you is that the reason that Zillow, no worries, Zach. Thank you. Zillow is a broker now. Okay. So, you know, we have to be very careful because there are competing brokers. So we have to be very careful. You all know about antitrust, right? So we have to be very careful about what we say and things like that where Zillow is concerned. And yet there are going to be brokerages out there. Let's take Zillow's name out of it. There are going to be brokerages out there that are going to go after and may have already gone after data. And the reason that anyone wants data is so that they can be in front of the consumer for their current and future purchases and sales. Can we agree on that? What other reason is there to have data without actually understanding the buying and selling patterns of the consumer? But guys, this is not Amazon. There is a human to human connection in the process of real estate. There is. Is there going to be a segment of seller or buyer that will be okay doing a Carvana type sale, going to a vending machine and buying a car? But you guys do know even Carvana has people that meet these consumers and develop a relationship with them. The relationship is always going to exist. So here's what, the reason I want to talk about Disciplined Life is because Gary said very clearly yesterday, he said, it all goes back to database. We know through 30 years of research, and by the way, Gary and Jay Papasan have been working on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2 for a couple of years now. The research hasn't changed. When you have X number of people in your database, this is the formula. You have X number of people in your database that you have 2 to 3 contact information for them in there, email, phone number, or address. And they know you're in real estate, they like you, and they trust you as a real estate agent. And you follow up with those people systematically and predictably 36 or more times a year. you can expect, no matter what the market is, that a certain percentage of sales are going to come from that database, either from those people directly in their home sale or purchase, or from referrals. Now, we're lulled into this sense of social media, but the reality is social media, I want you to remember this. If you remember anything, social media is just like the newspaper was to us old people back in the 90s, right? When our MLS was in a book, it wasn't on the internet, and when we advertised in newspaper. It's just a way to gather data and to get into relationship with people, but to continue that relationship before the purchase, whether or not that purchase or sale happens in 30 days or 3 years, and to follow up with them after that predictably and consistently. They must be on a drip campaign in a CRM, and you are predictably following up with them. Okay. So on page 54 of the One Thing, Gary goes into several of the myth understandings, the lies that mislead and derail us. And one of the things that he talks about is a disciplined life that derail us. We have this image that he talks about multitasking and that everything matters equally, but he goes into this thing, and I'm sorry, I've got the blowers outside of my window here. He goes into talking about a disciplined life. There is this pervasive idea that the successful person is the disciplined person, quote unquote, who leads a disciplined, quote unquote, life. It's a lie. It's a lie. The truth is, we don't need any more discipline than we already have. We just need to direct and manage it a little better. And so I go over here to page 55, and Gary says, you don't need to be a disciplined person to be successful. In fact, you can become successful with less discipline than you think, for one simple reason. Success is about doing the right thing, not about doing everything right. Success is about doing the right thing, not doing everything right. So I bring that up today, and we're going to run out of time here, and then family reunion is going to start, and I'm jumping on all of these calls and webinars and all this other stuff because it's great stuff. And if you weren't on yesterday, there was one on about that I absolutely loved, and it was about success as a solo agent. Oh my goodness, it was awesome. Did you see that, Diane? It was awesome. I was like, wow, that was worth its weight. That was worth the ticket. Ryan Spooner. It was so good. That was worth $139. So I can't wait for today. But one of the things that was very evident is that these top solo agents have leverage and they have balance. They have massive balance and counterbalancing in their life. And it's because they know what the things are that they should focus on. And it's, guys, database. Did you hear that, Diane? They talked a lot about database. So what I want to propose to you guys is, I know you're really busy right now. There's a lot of buyers coming at us. And Zach said it yesterday. He was so right. You got to get it while you can, guys. You got to get it while you can. The market's good. There's pent up demand. You're going to probably write 5 or 6 offers to get one buyer. You're going to work your tail off to even get one listing. But when you get it, you know it's sold. And that is the awesome thing about right now. And there is one other thing that I would suggest that you must build into your day and be focused on, and that is the development of your database. So if I were to ask you, now Command gives you a health score in your database. So I'm going to ask you to do this. The last thing I'm going to do before we get some ahas. On a piece of paper, you know where I'm going. So everybody show me your piece of paper. Show me your piece of paper. All right, draw a line. Draw a line. And on The left end of the line, I want you to give yourself, put a 0. And on the other end, I want you to write 100. Database health score is that your database has at least 2 forms of correct information. You speak to these people at least once a quarter about real estate, and they know you and trust you and like you as a real estate agent. When you think about your entire database, give your database a health score anywhere between 0% and 100%. And the litmus test for that is that if I were to call your database up right now and I were to say, hey, Terry said that I should give you a call, and they say, Terry who? And I say, oh, Terry Light. Oh yeah, Terry, he's amazing. He's awesome. He's a good friend of ours. He sold us our house, da, 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 da. What is the health score of when you take your entire database? So if there's 3,000 or 300, what's the health score of your database? What's the health score of your database? Anybody at 40%? Raise your hand if you're above 40%. 40%. Okay, thank you for being honest. 50%. Raise your hand, 50%. Anybody above 50% or above? 50% or above. So when Gary says on page 55, you can become successful with less discipline than you think for one simple reason. Success is about doing the right thing, not about doing everything right. I think it's really a good opportunity for us to really do a gut check. And this is for me too, guys, to do a gut check about the status of our database. And then look at our time blocks and figure out if there is opportunity in our day to carve out even just 30 minutes a day to go through 10 contacts, or if 30 minutes only gives you the opportunity to go through 5 contacts, to look at their information, make a call. Zach Fisher said 62%. I believe that because Zach is database guy. If your database is at 65 to 70%, that is an amazing health score for your entire database. The goal should be 65%, that 65% of your entire database, you have more than 2 accurate modes of contact information. You have them on a 36 touch. You can't put someone on a 36 touch, remember, from the MREA unless they know you, right? You have to have permission to follow up with them that many times. So you've talked to them, they know who you are, they know you're in real estate, whether you've done business with them before or not, doesn't matter. They know who you are, and they would refer people to you. At 65%, no matter what other brokers that were vendors that are now brokers, you get what I'm saying? No matter what they do in the marketplace, you are going to have a robust business. Because guys, people buy and sell with Kim Jones, with Karen Wilkinson, with Jan, with Amanda and Mark, with Dean, with Rita, with Lisa, with Diane Vila, with Alejandra, with Ryan, with Dovile, with Shar, with Zach. They buy and sell with you. Don't allow other companies to come in and get in between you and the people in your database, because they can only do that if you allow it. So a disciplined life is a lie. It's about doing the right things now, not doing everything now. Ahas. I want to hear some ahas. I want to hear some ahas from this.
Can you speak more on what we can say about Zillow? Because I had a perfect example yesterday. I would love to do, obviously, social media, no surprise there. But I'm just so sad that Nordstrom has closed in our town and the relationships that I had. And I order online, and it's just about returns for me now. So I go get in line at Nordstrom Rack. No one knows me. We have no conversation. It's just a return. There's nothing about like, well, can we find what you really wanted? So I would like to compare that to Zillow, but what can we say? You said something about antitrust or something a minute ago.
Yeah, so the one thing that we need to be very careful of, and I'm not a licensed realtor in Florida, so it's a little bit different for me, but for you guys, I would go on to the NABOR website and watch the video, or your board of realtors, wherever you are, if you're in anywhere else in Florida or anywhere else in the United States, go to your board website and watch video on antitrust. Okay. Zillow is now a brokerage, which means that you, as you would not say anything about William Ravis's practices or William Ravis or Berkshire Hathaway or Compass or any of those, they are under the same protections. So you can talk about showing time all day long and the fact that a brokerage now owns showing time, but you have to be very, very careful. And so I'm going to direct you to that video to watch it because they say it way better than I can. Here's what I can say is that right now, this is a big deal with agents, but the consumer, Zach and I were talking about this yesterday, the consumer doesn't know. The consumer's like, all I know is that I go here and I look at houses. Somebody contacts me and asks me if I'm working with a realtor, and I say no. And so they ask me if I want to see homes, and I meet with them and I go see homes, and either I like them or I don't. That's what they know. You as a business owner know very different, right? Your concept and understanding of that is very, very different. And so if every realtor shows up for their database and their relationships with the consumer the way that we should be, those other vendors those other brokerages become a non-issue no matter who they are, right? They really do. They really do. They become a non-issue no matter who they are. Now, if a lot of people are buying leads with that company when they were a company and that's where they're getting all of their leads from, then that could be a problem for them. But you guys are not doing that, right? So now why I'm having this conversation is because I love you, I care about you, and I want you to have a legacy and a business for the long term, regardless of what's going on in the market. And I know that the database is the way for you to do that. Amazon clearly understands it. You hear me say, how many times does Amazon follow up with you? They know your phone number, they know your email address, they know your home address, and then sometimes they know your work address. They've got your data and they follow up with you often, predictably, and they do it all the time. So from this, what I'd like for you to do is just really think about your database and, really think about what time you can carve out, what you can commit to in your day, even if it's just 30 minutes, because 30 minutes, what's 30 times 30? Somebody grab a calculator. What's 30 times 30?
900.
900. What's 900 divided by 60? Does anybody have a calculator? 900 divided by 60. I'll do it on my calculator, although I got to pull it up, but I'm say
15.
15.
Okay, that's 15 hours a month spent on your database if you just do 30 minutes a day. 15 times 12, that's 180 hours a year. Many of us sit down to do something all at once for a long period of time. If you just do it for 15 to 30 minutes every single day, you'll get more done, right? Every single day, you'll get more done. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm really excited about today. We are going to hear per Gary and what he put out that he was going to actually talk about his interview with Zillow. He did it some yesterday. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm excited to hear what the CEO of Zillow has to say. And then we also have some incredible breakout classes and different things happening on Family Reunion. And so I look forward to seeing you all later today. If you were going to the movie theater, remember we're at the Naples office in the training room because the movie theater had challenges yesterday with sound. So I will see you all here bright and early tomorrow with your learnings. Talk to you soon. Thanks for sharing. Bye-bye.